Masuda when he was young. We both did. So we come with background, we come with knowledge and love for the area, and we want everybody to enjoy it with without getting hurt or injured, and to be able to play well, as Brian Nielsen, Aquatics Division Chief said, play well in the sandbox. So that's the meeting today. And I want to clarify, this is not a hearing. So this is not what you're used to, some of you. It is a meeting. It is a meeting, a scoping meeting. So what we're trying to do is get as much information from all of you who are avid users of the beach, of the shoreline, to see what your uses are, what your interests are, and give you an opportunity to hear from everyone about what their love and interest is in the area. And we have come up with, and I will introduce them, with the working agencies who have jurisdiction over the area. They are the ones who actually put up rules, put up signs, make sure that everybody is orderly and to the degree that they can. So I want to introduce them to you. The way we're going to handle this, you've got some ground rules because we've got a number of people who are very passionate about this, and I want to give them the opportunity to speak. But we will speak to solutions. We know the problems. We know there are conflicts of use. And what we're trying to do is find a reasonable approach so that we could have a reasonable set of rules that we can test out so that the next time we have the run of the fish, we have a way in which everybody still can enjoy the shoreline. And so I want to thank Department of Land and Natural Resources. They're in charge of the water. They have an aquatics resource division. Brian Nielsen is the administrator. David Sakota is staff to the division and has been very conscientiously getting comments in from the last meeting, from our meetings of the agencies of what can or cannot be done, and has put together and has revised what we had the first go around among those interested who came on to a meeting that we had. So this is a work in progress. I just want to say that we are moving toward having rules before the Board of Land and Natural Resources because they are the ones in charge. They have jurisdiction over all of the resources of the water. And that's the coral, that's the fish, that's having a safe place for everybody to enjoy. And we also included the city. The city Department of Land, Department of Parks and Recreation has the charge of the high water mark to the park. And they have, as you can see, signs around of what you can or cannot do in the park, but they don't put the signs up until there's an ordinance or a rule that says and directs what to do. John Titchen has been wonderful. He's the chief of ocean safety, and he is responsible for the lifeguards that you see to try to manage the area. But they also cannot manage the area without having some direction. So those are the agencies, and I'm just gonna have you say something for these agencies that work really hard. I want to thank them. We still aren't through until we get past coming up with some option for rules to guide us in a way that we can very amicably, understandably, safely work together. So that is the intent of the meeting. It is not a hearing. It is not where I want a lot of testimony. I would like you to focus on the options that have been developed since the first meeting. And this is by no means the last meeting, but we do want to get to some resolution so that ultimately the next steps, as you will see in the management plan, is to go before the Board of Land and Natural Resources with a reasonable rule and perhaps a way forward the next time we have a run, and we can understand what the impacts are and go forward. So I want to lay that as sort of the the parameters on which we'd like to have us go forward. There are ground rules only because there are a lot of, which is nice, a lot of passionate people who have love for the park and the shoreline and how they want to see it used and how they use it. So we're going to ask you to keep it down to 2 minutes to focus on solutions or some options and how and why it would work. And if you see, we're going to go through the options that the Department of Land and Natural Resources came up with. I'd like to have your feedback on that. And if it doesn't work, we can take it off the table. But again, we're moving to a way in which we find a solution rather than saying we're going to live aloha. I mean, it's nice. We used to be able to live aloha, but there are a lot of new people. Not a lot of people don't know that. And it's really hard to educate on the runs. So that's kind of how we'd like to go forward. You see the ground rules on the agenda. Unless there's anything that I'd like to just, if they're here, Bob, you want to say anything?
Whole agenda.
What?
We cannot see the whole agenda.
Oh, can you? Okay, we're gonna make it small so you can see the whole thing, okay?
Or scroll, just scroll up.
Scroll up.
I mean, scroll down to the bottom, yeah.
Okay. No, it's fine, but just scroll so they can see the whole agenda. So that's how we are. We're gonna do the plan. There's gonna be proposals. I'm gonna ask if you have proposals, anybody in the, among the participants, if you have additional proposals, we'll call on you first to propose whatever options, and we'll put that on the table. And then we're gonna go down option 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever comes up. And then we'll go into scroll up some more. Next steps would be, this is what we're anticipating if we can, if everybody, can get to some consensus. And again, my definition of consensus is not that you've got to agree with everything, but that you don't oppose it and you can live with it and it's something going forward. So we're looking to January, February for some kind of public hearing before the Board of Land and Natural Resources. And then in May, adopting a rule. So there's time between now and then for you to give comments, for us to get a better focus on a rule that can help us go forward before the next run. So if you want to speak, the way we're going to do it is raise your hand, and Charles will pick up on that, and then go in order as we see the hands come up, or if you want to put your name in chat. But,
Senator, excuse me.
Yes.
Briefly.
Yeah.
Can you at least go over, before we start this, go over what it means to go to the Board of Land and Natural Resources the first time? Does that mean that we have chosen government action versus, formal action versus informal action?
Yes, and I'm gonna defer to Deputy Director of Land and Natural Resources, Bob Masuda, to give you sort of why we're doing what we're doing. And Bob, are you there to respond to Bruce? Is that Bruce?
Yes.
Yeah. Bob?
Is Bob on mute?
Yeah, can you unmute Bob? Bob, you have to unmute.
Okay.
Okay, there he is.
No, I was in the chat box. Someone asked, is there no action alternative? There will be alternative presented in the proposals this evening. So that's why we have this program. Somebody with a weird name. So anyway.
Okay.
What?
Just, Bob, if you can
Yeah.
tell them what is the formal procedure. So we go before the board, it would be coming out of things like this with a rule to propose.
What I think you really started asking Mr. Masuda is, why are we at choosing a formal solution now versus not choosing a solution until we figure out whether we want formal or informal as a group?
That is the process. Tonight is a presentation of ideas. and a presentation of ideas by Mr. Sakura, who, by the way, along with John Titchen and Senator Moriwaki, they're all lawyers, so they're all, legally smart. So this has gone through their vetting. We are going through a process whereby we need to, at some point, we want to approach the community, but you don't want to approach the community with nothing. And so we are saying, these are some ideas that the staff people in discussing the issues have come up with. What do you guys think? You have better ideas? Present it tonight. Then all of this goes through a process that when we go to the board, it's the process for going to the board is not to get an approval for an answer. The process is to go to the board to request approval by the board for the staff in partnership with the city and the legislative leadership to conduct formal public hearings. During that time, we will then again go back to the community. Everyone can chime in and make formal comments. All comments in the formal public hearing will be recorded for the record and integrated into what would then become a proposed rule. So a rule is not going to be even proposed until we have a formal public hearing. And the first time we go to the board will be to request permission to have a public hearing. Tonight is simply to explore ideas and to gather more ideas, as Senator Moriwaki would like, and give people in the public who either fishers or swimmers who have not had a chance to contribute. So
So when you go to the board, will the public be included in that? When you say we, is you and the public, or so? And
the public,
is that
all
gonna-
board meetings are public.
and it's going to be Zoom?
Zoom with Zoom, and unless you have something to formally contribute, you can observe the proceeding in a David. What is the thing that they watch without just observe?
YouTube.
Audio.
Oh, YouTube. You can go onto YouTube,
It is on.
and so Senator Moriwaki asked me to give more information, but David Sakura is really the brains for me. And Brian and I will defer to David as our staff point, and our program manager is number 2 in our Division of Aquatic Resources. So David will be our point on tonight's discussion.
Thank you.
And I do want to say to Bruce, the reason why we moved to this option of having a rule was that we had so many people complaining with many different interests. And when I asked Parks and if they could put up a sign, just live aloha, they said they couldn't do it without some ordinance or rule. I know that the great lifeguards that we had tried to manage it, but they could not without having some authorization. And so that is why I called the meeting among the 3 agencies that have jurisdiction over the beach as well as the water. And that's why we came to some of these options, and David has pulled that together with the comments that some of you voiced at the last meeting to come up with some options. And if there are others, I'd like to focus on those as we go forward. No option can be one option as well. Okay. So
Thank you. That sounds reasonable.
okay, great. So I'm gonna turn it over to David Sakura, who has done a great job in history and culture of the area, as well as some of the options that came in, and tried to put it all together in one document. So want to go over your document, and especially
Sure.
the options. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Wait, please.
I don't know if we have that, if we could throw that up on the share screen too.
Okay, yeah, we can.
But I'll just do a brief introduction. Thank you again, Senator Moriwaki, for having us present these options. These are taken directly from the draft management plan that was circulated with the email invitation. So hopefully you had a chance to read through them, but I'll just go through starting from the middle of page 5 of this draft management plan. So the idea is to create a fisheries management area through Chapter 91 rulemaking, if that's what's decided is the best route. The boundary would be the same as the existing Division of Boating and Ocean Recreation area. It's a Ocean Recreation Management Area, which includes the channel area of Ala Moana Beach Park. The purpose would be to reduce user conflicts and safety hazards by designating fishing and non-fishing zones within the FMA. And as has been said multiple times, the purpose of these options is just to be a starting point for discussion. We haven't chosen anything. They're not limited to these options, but it's kind of to provide a starting point. So they're subject to change and additional input. And there's also the options that will be presented are more like optional boundaries, but within those boundaries, there's also different options for regulations for the different designated zones. So they could include separate zones for fishing and non-fishing activities. Those could be like exclusive zones, or they could be like priority zones. We'd welcome discussion on that. We could incorporate a time area closure. For instance, if there's a non-fishing zone, it could be non-fishing only during daytime hours when there's use by swimmers, and during the nighttime hours, it could be open to fishing. That's another area where we'd welcome input. And also, we could incorporate a sunset date, where this could be a pilot project that would expire after a certain time. If it's successful, we could remove the sunset date so it can continue, or we can change the rules if it's not achieving the desired effect. Okay, moving on to page 6. So for option 1, again, this option refers to the boundaries presented. The blue bordered areas would be designated as a fishing zone, and the red bordered area would be designated as a non-fishing zone. So for all types of swimming or other non-fishing activities. This was proposed initially to accommodate where fishers have the heaviest pressure, both on the Kewalo Basin end of the park as well as on the Magic Island side, where the large schools of fish have been congregating this summer. And then if you scroll down to the second option on the following page, after the October 12th meeting where option 1 was presented, we received feedback that the area on the Magic Island side that was designated as the fishing zone was actually an important area for swimmers, especially disabled swimmers who needed a sandy area to access the water. And so we received another proposal that would create a swimming access zone on the Magic Island side of the beach. And it's shown by that yellow area or yellow and purple area. And the proposal was to have no fishing within that small zone where swimmers can enter the water, but fishing would be allowed on both sides of that zone. And it would also maintain that swimming zone that was bordered in red in option 1. So the purpose would be, again, to allow access in this sandy area. And then if you go to option 3 is kind of a hybrid approach. We recognize that with option 2, there is potential for continued conflict within the rest of that fishing zone, but outside of that area bounded in yellow, because swimmers would be able to enter the water at that zone, but then would have to cross through some of the fishing zone to get to that non-fishing zone. So option 3 just extends the non-fishing zone all the way to the ADA path. And that way, any disabled person could access the water from the path. And if they wanted to go swimming, they could enter the water and swim to the right, be automatically in a non-fishing zone where they wouldn't have to worry about getting entangled. If a disabled person wanted to go fishing, they could cast their lines to the left into the fishing zone and not have to worry about entangling swimmers. So that's kind of a compromise between options 1 and 2. Again, these are just presented for discussion, and we're open to comments based on these.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions for David? Raise your hand, with that little hand icon. If you have questions for David. Okay. You want to unmute? Denise, you have a question?
I wanted to know if there's been consideration, now that I understand the purpose of the meeting, has there been consideration to limit the types of fishing that can happen there? It appears that a lot of the problems have been with lines that go pretty far out, but not with people who are just fishing with shorter lines to get the small fish near the shore. People have been hooked. So has there been any consideration of limiting, like no casting? No, so you can't have a sinker and cast 30 meters out? That's my question.
David, we did have discussion on that. David, you want to?
Yeah, sure. That was one of the initial options that DAR presented in our October meeting. There was discussion about that, and that took different forms. Like one option was in the whole area to allow for hand pole fishing and prohibit casting with rod and reel. Another form would have been to allow hand pole fishing in the swimming area, so people could continue fishing without swimmers have to worry about lines being cast into the channel, but fishers could continue using hand poles. Some of the feedback we got was that it might be too hard to enforce, and taking away rod and reel fishing is essentially taking away fishing, because a lot of fishers like to do both. And so there is a general consensus, at least among the participants of that meeting, that there should be zones where a zone would be designated for fishing and another zone for non-fishing, just to make the lines clear and prevent any conflict there. But we're, well, for me, I can speak for DAR only. We are still open to hearing comments on those sorts of fishing gear type restrictions.
Deborah? We have Deborah. Deborah has a question.
Yes. Yes. So kind of going along with what Denise was asking and sort of following up on that. And then David, you had mentioned the enforcement of it. Um, it's already tricky to enforce things now that are in effect there. Um, how how adding more rules on top of things would make more enforcement necessary. But so that's the first question that I have. And then the other question that I have is one of the proposals was making a time frame, a sort of a nighttime fishing only rule. My understanding is that most parks close at 10 o'clock. So what is considered nighttime? What would be the time frame for that? And again, how is that enforced? Because things are already difficult to enforce as it is. Unfortunately, lifeguards are only capable of doing so much and are only able to do so much because of what they see. How is that going to get enforced?
Yeah, thanks for that question. We'd rely on our existing enforcement resources. So our daycare officers do patrols, which include the Magic Island area. We can't commit to any extra enforcement. We just don't have the resources. But as with all fishing, there's a certain percent that will comply if there's rules, and there's also a percentage of people that will break the rules and if they can get away with it. So that's just a reality we have to deal with on a broader scale. Regarding the nighttime fishing, yes, the park closes, I believe it's 10 p.m., but there's laws that permit access to the ocean for ocean activities like fishing, as long as you're traversing through the park and not lingering. So there are still opportunities.
Okay, thank you. I guess just kind of as a rhetorical thing and mostly as a follow-up, it's, I guess, kind of is why add more rules to something that you can't already enforce now? And I mean, it doesn't need to be answered. It's just, it's you're adding more regulations and more rules on to something that is already stretched thin, to a body that's already stretched very thin, and enforcing things now. So that's just something as a consideration. Yeah.
Bob wants to respond.
We would love to have everybody live with aloha and not have to have rules, because as we know, smart and stupid, gracious and greedy, arrogant and charming, is not a singular thing. Whether you're male, female, fat, skinny, whatever religion, whatever, these kinds of characteristics are universal. You can either be nice or you can be ugly. And so rules are only there because people have difficulty behaving with aloha. And before I get off, Sharon, I want to acknowledge my friend Tommy Waters, who's I see Tommy there down by the corner. Hi, Tommy. Member of our Honolulu City Council. Thank you for taking time.
Oh, and I see Adrian Tam. Adrian, hi. Adrian is our new representative for Waikiki. So thanks.
Oh, okay. Hi, Adrian. He looks so young. That's because we're so old, Sharon.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway.
Everybody looks young to us.
Yeah. But anyway, so the rules and statutes, they're two different things. Hawaii revised statutes are set up by the legislature. They're the laws of the state. Hawaii administrative rules are set up by the department to have a little less severe impact, let's say, than statutes, and are more public. Rules are only set after significant public hearings. And so this is a beginning. Before we go to public hearing, this is a chance to get more of the public to chime in. So from time to time, I'll try to clarify so that we don't take more time than we need. But so the rules are simply there to help guide as things go by. You normally don't get thrown in jail for breaking a rule. You can get thrown in jail for breaking a law, but the rules are there to guide us.
And I'd like to respond to Denise. It's the rule is not just purely for enforcement. The rule is there so that you can educate as well. So part of what Deputy Director Masuda is saying is that there are people who do follow or don't follow, but if you have no education of what the rules are, which is what happened this past summer, you have people who, if they had known that they shouldn't do this or that, it would have made life easier for many. So part of this is this meeting is a new way of I think operating, where we get as much input as possible. Part of that is as we move to having a reasonable way in which we should be operating and dealing with each other, so that we have a park that's open to everyone to enjoy as well as safely be in the park.
And there's significant
as well.
coordination and cooperation and consultation in
Yes.
the many meetings we've had so far between state and county. So on the county side, both ocean safety and public safety, as well as the Department of Parks and Recreation, have been involved. So
And I must say that I want to thank the agencies, because this is the first time I've actually sat and heard and had the discussion with agencies who usually say, it's not mine. And that's where somebody said the enforcement becomes a problem, because it's, it's the city or it's the state. And here, if we collaborate and we know that the mission is public safety and enjoyment of the park, all of us, the community as well as the agencies, all have a common view to making the park really a good park for all of us in the future. So part of this discussion is new. It's not a hearing, but it is a way for us to get input from you. David will have a third round. And if we go forward with the next step, it would be looking at some rules that are reasonable. As David said, we could have a sunset date on it as we go forward. But again, it also educates everyone of how to live aloha. Without it, we our own aloha for ourselves, but not.
And thank God it's only the Ala Moana Beach Park, because if we were going over a rule for all beach parks statewide, we would be doing this on every island. So hallelujah, it's just the people's park. I think Bill has been trying to get on.
Oh, Bill, sorry,
Yeah.
Bill. Okay, Bill, you have to unmute. Okay.
Right. Okay. Hi, my name's Bill. I was a lifeguard at Ala Moana Beach Park for 15 years, so I've seen a lot of this happen. And it seemed this year was exceptional when the bait ball came in. I have never seen one that large and for that long. Every year it would come in, but this year was exceptional, and I've never seen so many wall-to-wall fishermen. So I think that's what created this problem in the beginning. There are far more swimmers there than there are fishermen. And throughout the day, you don't hardly see any fishermen. So that was another thing. Dividing that beach, I think, is going to be difficult. You've got some things that happen throughout the year. For instance, the floating lantern ceremony would be completely in the fishing zone, even though it would only be there for a week to 2 weeks. That could create some problems. The small fishing with just the hand poles is not that bad, but it's the casting that I think it's creating this situation. And I never hardly see them bring any big fish out of there, just very rarely. You'll get some papillo, but that's about it. Other than that, I just don't know how you're going to manage this. The lifeguards are not going to enforce those rules. They're there from 9 in the morning to 5:30.
Yes, and we want to make that
Those
clear.
fishermen are there way earlier than that.
The lifeguards are there for life saving and for protection of health.
Correct.
Okay.
And
The
those
enforcement.
sunrise.
Yeah.
Believe me.
Enforcement is there for PD and the State's Department of Land and Natural Resources, DOCARE, divide up the law enforcement depending on whether it's on state area or on county area.
Correct.
Yeah.
You did have this situation at Kaimana Beach this year also,
Yeah.
which I'm sure you're all aware of.
Bill, looks like you were lifeguarding after Sharon and I were swimming there.
But anyway, it's a good start. But I think it's hopefully it would favor the swimmers more than the fishermen. They could get there late at night or.
Okay.
We're more careful. All
Thank
right.
You have your 2 minutes. Thank you,
All right.
Bill.
Thank
Hey,
you.
can I suggest to everyone that after they speak, they have their turn, lower their hand so that the monitor doesn't get thrown off by all the raised hands that have already spoken?
We know her. He knows. Thanks, Bruce.
Okay.
Charles knows.
I mean, everybody else.
Sonia. Okay, Sonia.
Hi, my name's Sonia Rowley. I'm a scientist at the University of Hawaii, and I'm a swimmer. I've been swimming in Ala Moana for 11 years. I appreciate I'm not from here. I was raised in a fishing community back in England. I was raised on boats, so I do very much understand, I love fish. What happened this year, I just want to back up what Bill said. What happened this year, I'd never seen anything like it. My concern is the ghost fishing. I saw a tremendous amount of, including small children, elderly, it's not cultural specific, of having their legs either wrapped up in the line, hooks, that kind of thing. And I also, and I know I'm not the only one, untangled a turtle. And I also saw that further down, the buoys further down, or the buoys that you guys call them, is there was line wrapped up further down. And so that could trap an animal or another human being. So my point is the ghost fishing, they're apart from the bait ball situation, which was amazing to see so much life in there. The eutrophication, so the amount of feed that was put in. I just watched people just doing that kind of compulsively. And what that brought about was a strong biofilm, which will bring about a lot of undesirable microbes. And that will lead to infection. So this is essentially like a cascading thing. If you have a small child that then gets harmed with a hook and then infected from the chumming, that's a serious thing. So those are just a couple of the main things that I noticed, and also a lot of trash. I know we can't really, police certain things, and we can do the best we can, but the ghost fishing was tremendous. It really, really was. And the inability for disabled and elderly and super young people to actually access that area of the beach. So even though the timing thing, it would make sense. Like this morning, I was down there. When I got in just after 7, there was 2 fishermen. And when I got out 80 minutes later, there were no fishermen and a tremendous amount of other recreational users. So it does seem to be like obviously a biological event, and so more along the lines of how does one handle the biological event, not to overthrow cultural, not to disrespect that, but at the same time there's active health issues at hand, and even though we did the time thing, we still have ghost fishing. The consequences of some of the fishing practices live on. So I think I could go on forever. I think other people will raise similar issues and more pertinent issues. So that's kind of my point there.
Thank you. Craig? Oh, Greg.
Yes.
Gruel. Greg Gruel? You're
Hello?
on. Mhm.
I'm on.
You're on, yes.
Yeah.
Now I'm off.
Okay, now you're on.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to say it seemed to me that David mischaracterized option 2 and 3. I think option 2 overlaps the handicap walkway. I'm a handicapped person. And option 3 rolls that area way to the west, Magic Island side, to where, you know, fishermen could be fishing right at the bottom of that handicap ramp. And I can't get all the way over. So to me, option 2 is ideal. I might add that maybe if fishermen want to fish, handicap fishermen, maybe we need another handicap walkway to the west of the present one on the east side, but you know, to where they can go down and fish and have handicap access. But that one area in option 2 overlaps, I believe, the handicap walkway, and I think David mischaracterized that. But personally, I have to like crawl into the water because I can't walk into the water. And for Keiki and Kapuna and handicapped people, there's only one place we can get in and out of the water that's not rocky. And I've had some close calls, and you know, I worry about getting my eye hooked or getting hooked and get a bacteria infection. And there's a lot of bacteria in Ala Moana Beach Park. So, but personally, I love fish. I'm fine with fishing. I think they should fish everywhere else but that one area. And I'm against hours that limits fishermen or anyone from accessing the park. I just think option 2 is the best option.
Okay. Thank you, Greg.
Thank you, mahalo.
Thank you. Shar Chanlam. Shar.
Thank you. I do have actually a little slideshow, if it's okay that I can show it, if that's possible.
Is it a couple minutes?
It's very short. It's just, I just have the talking points there, and I'm not sure if that can get up there. Okay. So anyway, these are just my comments, and just wanted to say that Ala Moana Beach Park is for all the people of Oahu to enjoy. And there's actually, you know, fishing's been a part of the lifestyle of the park even before it was formally dedicated. And the city has a resolution that confirmed, you know, that's resolution 98-188 CD1, that it's up to DPR to utilize the park's natural resources to enhance the leisure lifestyle and quality for the people of Oahu through active and passive recreational activities. And that beach parks are designed to take advantage of the shoreline and beach resources, including beach activities like swimming, surfing, boogie boarding, and fishing. So as people have also alluded to, you know, over the course of the years, 2020 is a very unusual year. And we think that 2021 would have different variables. Hopefully, post-COVID, more people will be employed and schools will be in session, so there'll be fewer people out there fishing during the weekdays. And the parking lot at McCoy Pavilion is supposed to be open this month. And if it is, then that will make it less of a pressure for people to get there in order to get a parking space. So in terms of swimming, jogging, fishing, whatever, it won't be as difficult to find parking. But I will say, if there were rules that said fishermen could only fish at night, the park does close at 10, and where would your car be? So for those, there are lots of older people that fish, it would be a problem, I think. The barge will be gone out of Alawai Canal, so fish can move back to that side away from the swimmers. Right now, the barge is still there and it's made the fish go around. Okay, and then there's no guarantee that there'll be the same abundance of fish. Everyone is kind of commenting it's an unusual year. So I know you've said you don't really want just living with aloha, but I do think that if we educated the people about the park and that we posted, I've asked DPR to post large maps throughout the park showing where different activities are key. So picnic areas, tennis courts, swimming, volleyball, fishing, etc. So that people kind of understand if you are choosing to go swimming or fishing, these are your areas. And I do agree that they should be maybe bigger signs that emphasize no littering, whether it be the fish lines or bottles or plastic masks that people have been dropping, that no animals are allowed because they also cause a lot of problems in the water and on the sand, and that no soap or shampoo with the showers. Those are all things that I think what we should be looking at is to employ protocols that just like you have warnings if there's jellyfish, shark sightings, poor water quality, posted by the lifeguards or the doe care officers. There could be posted protocols for fishing. So fishing flags posted when large fish balls are on your shore.
Shar, can we kind of speed it up as everybody, you know, has.
Yeah, okay. I have two more, I just have two more slides. Anyway, basically having flags that would say that this is an area to avoid. And I would agree that there should be the area marked off for protected entry to the water for kupuna keiki, physically challenged, around the mat areas. And even if they create another mat area, that would be even give them more room. So this is similar to option 2. And finally, I just want to say, you know, isn't there a better way of getting, instead of getting government involved, that basically curtails the rights of one group of citizens over another and requires more money when we don't have it. So if everyone, and I know it sounds hard, but if everyone tried to be cooperative, practice aloha, if we understood why everybody was doing it, I think it would be a better way than having a rule that may be very, very hard to enforce. So thank you for your, letting me have this time.
Thank you, Shar. Thank you.
You use your and your husband's time.
Okay.
4 minutes,
Okay, now
4 minutes, 15 seconds, okay.
Okay, so Peter, moving on to Peter.
Thank you. One of the things I think we all agree on is that we don't want to set up a situation where people are excluded from use of sections of the park. If you stand on the beach at Ala Moana and you look towards the mountains, you are looking at the most heavily populated area of Honolulu. And Ala Moana Beach Park is the people's park. It's where everybody comes. It's where we bring our families. It's where we teach our keiki to swim. It's where we come to hang out. And so if we start sectioning up the waterfront, then what it means is that everybody loses. You know, fishermen can't fish somewhere, swimmers can't swim somewhere. It's subtractive for everyone who's involved in that situation. So if we're going to put any sort of guidelines in place, we need to recognize that we want to maximize the usage of the entire area for as many different activities as possible. And we've seen some nice examples of that. So the stand-up paddleboarders and the swimmers have worked out a protocol which allows for peaceable coexistence there. And it means giving up a little bit voluntarily. You know, swimmers, okay, we'll stay to this side of the buoys, paddleboarders stay to that side of the buoy, it's okay. But everybody still gets their workout. Everybody still gets to do what they want to do. I think for, you know, to repeat what everyone's been saying, we're not going to have a fishbowl like this every year. But we're also, we don't, even if it's like this year, every year, we don't need to say, you know, this 40% of the beach belongs to one group of people in perpetuity. I just don't, you know, there won't be fish there all the time. There won't be swimmers there all the time. We need to figure out ways that everybody can coexist. And one of the things I would hope that we can all do is recognize that that means what I was just talking about with the stand-up paddleboarders and the swimmers is voluntarily saying, okay, you know, we're gonna watch out for each other. We're gonna take care of each other. We're gonna make sure that we don't endanger each other. And so, you know, I can't imagine any fisherman would actually try and cast their line at a person. But obviously, you know, if you're a swimmer, you can't see the line. So maybe the fishermen need to be more aware of the fact that if they cast long, they're gonna get involved with people who, best of intentions, don't know they're bothering the fishermen. And so I'm really hoping that maybe more outreach, maybe involving the community more, because there are 10,000 people within walking distance of that beach and 9,950 of them don't know this meeting is happening right now. More communication with the community, and just a recognition that you can't all do everything all the time. So, you know, if you're a fisherman and you're down there with your surf casting reel and you're casting all the way out to the reef, no, you're going to hit somebody, you're going to hurt somebody.
All right.
It's just not a good move.
Peter, do you have any options that you have or ideas? Because we need to move on.
Sure. I think we need to do much more community outreach, both in terms of getting information on these issues out. And I think we also need to be very careful about locking down parts of the beach and restricting their use.
Thank you. Okay. Gary, Gary? Gary? Is Gary still there?
I am. Hi,
Okay.
my name's Gary Bignami. I'm Communications Director for Waikiki Swim Club. I run their website. And given your request to sort of cut to the chase, I have a 2-minute backgrounder that I'd like to read. But the first thing I'm going to say is Waikiki Swim Club supports a modified option 3 that retains the swim channel, but also prohibits casting from the shore into that channel because of the safety reasons. So, access to the swimming channel and the SUP channel without getting wrapped up in fishing lines is a priority for us. Now, if you can indulge me for a minute or so, I'd give you some background. So Waikiki Swim Club was formed in 1971 to promote safe and fun ocean swimming. And club members have used Ala Moana Beach Park for training from the beginning. They participated in having the 500 and 1 kilometer spar buoys installed that are still present in the swim channel, and organized 2 kilometer group swims every Saturday for more than 20 years. Many club members swim Ala Moana Beach Park channel daily, along with numerous non-members. Ala Moana Beach Park represents the only accessible, safe, and life-guarded beach on the island of Oahu available for transitioning from pool swimming to open ocean swimming. It's the only venue where a swimming partner isn't necessary for safety purposes. The 1,000-meter swim channel is protected by a reef, isn't subject to the currents, waves, and other hazards, such as boats that occur offshore. As part of our mission to promote safe ocean swimming, Waikiki Swim Club offers ocean swimming opportunities to people from Hawaii and around the world based on their skills. Some of our swimmers have swum multiple inter-island channels, while others find swimming beyond the reef a challenge. Before we allow any new swimmer to join an open ocean swimming group, they're required to submit through the website a swimmer assessment form that summarizes their swimming skill level.
Gary, I'm gonna, can you summarize? We're moving on, but you had your option of what you said you wanted was this 1,000-meter area. Is that the option, or?
That's the option. Yep.
Yeah, you can send in your comments and we will append that to what we have, but you can summarize, move on.
Basically, that the Ala Moana Beach Park represents the only lifeguarded, protected swimming venue that isn't an open ocean, more challenging situation. And so that's important to swimmers. Thank you.
Thank you. And so I'm just gonna summarize that you said that the 1,000-meter swim channel plus the access to it is what your option would be, kind of building off of option 2. Is that correct?
I thought that was option 3 that had the swimming, the fishing on each end. But with the caveat that if dunking or whatever is allowed along the shoreline, that casting into the channel would be hazardous.
Okay, so no casting into the channel.
Correct.
Thank you, Gary. Anybody else? Jay Henderson. Jay. Can you unmute and speak, Jay?
There we go. Okay.
Right.
That's me. Okay. I've got a long statement too, but I've already sent it in. I'm new to this interface, but I want to thank you and thank all the other people at the that have prepared this statement, these options. I think the aloha spirit is almost good enough, much more than the formal any kind of regulation or rule that we might want to put out. But maybe it's not quite good enough. Maybe it just needs some elaboration, because aloha is a sort of a general term. How about yield? Yield is the thought that I have is that swimmers can swim in a fishing area when the fishermen are not there, and fishermen can fish in the swimming area when the swimmers are not there. But when you see, if you're a swimmer and you see a fisherman, just yield, especially if you're in the fishing area. Get back. And that's what I do. I don't want to get tangled up. I don't want to get hooked. So I just give them 100 yards, because you got more than 100 yards between the beach and way out. I mean, and the casters don't even go that far. So here we go. This is a sign that I've just crudely drawn up right here on my desk during the course of this talk. We might have, can you see this? I don't know.
No.
Okay, it's a sign that says, that goes up on the beach, and it says, this way is a swimming area, fishers please yield. This area is a fishing area, swimmers please yield. And you put it up there on the beach like you do when the sharks or the jellyfish are in the area. You just put a sign up. It raises people's consciousness. People will respond. I go down there every day for about 2 hours, and there's tremendous aloha. It's a really, really nice place. I didn't see too much of these disputes. I'm sure that they happen, but I think aloha is almost good enough. And I support modified version 3, option 3, with a sign that says, this side is a swimming area, fishers please yield. This side is fishing area, swimmers please yield. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Who's the Opala King? Opala
That's
King?
me. That's me, Norishito.
Oh, okay, Narish. Okay.
Okay, I'll make my option easy. I don't care for anybody. It should be left the way it is. I fish, I swim, I walk the water, I clean up the beach, and for years it's been like this, right? And this happened, once in a blue moon. Somebody said this was like the third time in, 30 or 40 years that this happened. You know, I fished last Friday at Lifeguard Station 1C. There were a couple of women walking by. I yelled at them to have them yield, look for the line, and they walked over. You know, we got to communicate. What we don't do here is we think we own everything. I can swim, don't bother me. I fish, don't bother me, right? I can do my own thing, but that's not how it is. Like the other person said, you got to live aloha. People don't know that. We're going to have DNR come down like they did at Kaimana, and here they came down at Ala Moana. They should police the area when this happens. And this is only about maybe two weeks out of the year. But then if they close down where I fish or make me only forced to fish at a certain time of day, that takes away my rights to fish. So I dunk, I whip, I do hand pull, but I yield, like the person said before, I yield, I make sure people don't get hurt. So, you know, education goes a long way. A lot of people starting to fish, they don't know what they're doing. We have to just live aloha, like the guy said. So that's my 2 cents. Leave it the way it is. Don't take any of those options. A new option is leave it the way it is. And I think it'd be just about communication and knowledge.
Okay, thank you, Nurse. Anybody else?
Yes,
Bruce?
I've been waiting a long time.
2 minutes, 2 minutes now.
My hand up. I had my hand up. I never got
2 minutes. All right.
Well, a lot of people spoke way over 2 minutes, but I know I'm under 2 minutes. Okay.
Well, you went sure.
No problem. I'm timing you.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
So my
Bruce.
name is Bruce Lum. I would save Ala Moana Beach Park. I feel I have a lot of sweat and time equity in Ala Moana Beach Park. I've been spending a lot of time trying to save
Okay.
what's beautiful about Ala Moana Beach Park, and I've only spoken 12 seconds. So I choose, I like to share the screen. So, and you folks tell me whether you can see and read what I'm sharing. Can everybody see the screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, can you read
It's
it?
option 4. Yeah.
So
option-
I've created an option 4, which is a modification of option 3. The modifications are this.
Mhm.
One, I've chosen to take a vertical strike approach to this. What that means in military terms, and I never was in the military, just borrowed it, is that the main reason for this is safety. So I'm taking this from a perspective of safety. The next modification is no restriction zones east of these yellow lines. I'm sorry, west of the yellow lines. The yellow lines is a restricted zone for fishing, but only, and it's a flexible one, it's only when the season's up. Because remember, the season was only 2 months. It doesn't happen all year round. So we wouldn't want to put a permanent blanket on this. The red flags are the visible in time type of warnings, like my friend's flag over there, which says yield. I don't have the details for this, but what it does is it alerts everybody around the park that it's fishing season. Balls of fish are there. It's best to just avoid it. The indentation in the yellow there, that yellow perimeter, is for handicap access. Now, I wasn't talking, and swimmers who want to swim through and get to the channel. But a vertical strike would say, hey, look, just ban the whole area during that 2 months for fishing if the fish are there, only when the fish are there. If the fish aren't there, no problem. That's the option. And my approach to this was this: regard this season's experience to be an exception versus a norm. But what the
Bruce, I'm gonna have to cut you off.
I'm sorry, a lot of people spoke way over and I waited and I had my hand up.
Yeah, but again, we want to keep it within just looking at the options, and you've shared with us your.
Let's let him finish. 244. Let him
Okay.
finish and turn in this thing.
Yeah, turn this in, but you can just kind of summarize this approach.
Everybody's talking over me, so time's running.
Bruce, just go ahead.
Yeah,
Finish
so
page, and then.
So this approach that I took to suggesting this option is, this wasn't a normal, this was an exception. The safety improvement is what the focus is. Prioritize reducing user conflicts and safety hazards is the whole spirit behind the thing. Keep it simple. Design from authentic data. I heard a lot of people say things today. There's no data on it. I went out there and talked to a lot of people, and it was contrary to a lot of things that have been said. Aim for balance, give and take across the user spectrum. We have a lot of people there. So thank you to Peter for reminding us about that. Self-regulating is more effective when enforcement cannot occur. So I think Debbie brought that up, I think. User sustainable, that's what we have to work on. So I have a lot of more pieces in this proposal. There's a lot of more slides on it, there's about 14 slides that explain how to do this. But anyway, I think that it should be a semi-formal approach. And I'm not so sure that it should be an FMA. It might just have to be another rule to the ORMA that is less rigid. And the more we keep government out of our public recreation, the more fun we'll have. And the last thing I want to say is, this is not a swimming beach only. This is for everybody. The fishermen like the channel because it is protected. They can bring their kids there to fish. So we can work it out. We just have to understand the beach is for everybody. It's not just swimmers. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. Do we have anybody?
Velasco.
Huh?
Arlene Velasco.
Oh, Arlene?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So
can
we
you hear me? I'm with the Surfrider Foundation, and I also am speaking as a swimmer who has been really carefully paying attention to the fish count this year all over the island. And I have noticed that the fish count all over the island seems to very much drop, regardless of the fish balls that are happening at these odd places. So one thing that I would like to know, if there's been any consideration of doing something like a fish count in Ala Moana, a real fish count, as to how many fish are realistically there for the fishermen to really fish. And I would also like to know, has there been a study recently of the health of the coral reef that's outside Ala Moana Park? Because I am concerned about the bacteria count killing even more coral that's been killed already.
Thank you, Arlene. I don't know if we have answers for that, but we're kind of focusing on the uses right now. So we'll just add that into our comments that we have been taking notes on. So
okay. I want to say one more thing just about Kaimana Beach in particular. I personally have seen fishermen casting directly over monk seals that are sleeping on that beach. Now, that to me is criminal. And I did mention it to the particular fishermen, and they kind of grudgingly look at me, and then they did slowly move on. But that's a very serious situation at Come On Beach.
Okay. Have you seen it in Ala Moana Beach Park?
I haven't seen any monk seals ever beach there.
Okay.
We see them all the time.
You do?
Yes, I surf. They're always out in the water.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
you know, I don't go to Ala Moana Beach Park that early. So,
They don't
but
come
I
in.
do come on.
Okay. Thank you, Arlene. We have that down.
TK.
TK, unmute. We're moving on, TK. TK.
Yes, hi, thank you. This is Tracy.
Tracy.
Thanks for going to me. Yeah, I appreciate that, Senator, and I appreciate everybody's time when it comes to looking into these efforts and these concerns. And what I wanted to be clear about is I understand government, they can't be everything to all people. They can't solve all the problems for all people. And it is really the responsibility of what like Bruce, Shar, Peter, and all the others, and Norris have said about like really trying to get along and share and find ways to ensure that we kind of self-patrol, self-police, and really about status quo or looking for solutions that provide support for, of course, handicap access. And, you know, in the same token, the fishermen have always been part of trying to resolve conflicts against them. You know, this is an FMA they're talking about. It's not a swimmers management area or anything. It's really about fishing management. And it really seems to be geared against the fishermen because the complaints are about them being unsafe. I don't think it's about time for just, you know, one group to be isolated. Like everybody's saying, this is everybody's beach and everybody's access, and things shouldn't really be carved out to isolate or hurt any user group, because that really doesn't solve any more problems. Everywhere you go right now, it's, you know, the kupuna and the keiki really don't have safe or easy access areas to fish, swim. And we were all taught, you know, you go swim, don't swim by the fishermen. It's dangerous. It's really about how you manage yourselves. And it's like we're trying to right now regulate mask wearing, you know, because people don't want to be considerate of others. They just want to do what they want to do for themselves. And it really shouldn't be put upon you folks. They have to make laws, rules, or further things, right? And so it becomes an issue as well.
Okay, we will move on. Thank
You
you.
guys
Thank
can
you.
start.
Yes. So thank you for
Tracy,
that.
Thank you. Thank you. Gail Togami. Gail. Oh, Grabowski. Oh, Gail Grabowski. Gail.
Hi there, Senator Moriwaki and David. Thank you so much for this meeting. I've looked at all the options and the revisions. Thanks for the revisions. I can support option 2 and option 3. I have some concerns that Gary mentioned, which were that with option 2, I see there's this safe zone for the swimmers and the walkers, et cetera. But I'm wondering if we swim down the channel, will there be cast fishing? Or do the swimmers have to swim way outside, which is not a problem for the experienced swimmers, but for the beginning swimmers and waders, that a lot of them don't go that far out. Option 3 has one problem as I see it, and that's that since they can fish right next to the handicapped area and the disabled pathway, and I understand that, so a disabled fisherman could fish, but that also means that somebody could fish right next to it. So I was wondering if we could build an additional handicap pathway in the fishing zone that is for handicapped disabled fishermen to use. Also, I'd like to say this, I ran a survey with my students of 135 people at Ala Moana Beach, and 69% like to swim, and 61% hang out with their friends, and 23% surf, and 17% fish. And this wasn't during the heavy fishing time. So I know there's more than 16% snorkel, 14% water walk, 10% aqua jog. There's a whole heck of a lot of ocean recreation users. And so I don't like when we all get lumped together. And a lot of those users really need that wide sandy patch that's only at that end by the first lifeguard tower, the big lifeguard tower that the yellow bracket would protect. And they need to walk in the sand. I saw a guy swimming yesterday, and he put his feet down frequently. He was old and he needed to rest. And the water walkers, they dragged their feet in the sand. And I saw people digging, there was a family digging a sand castle, and they have to not run into hooks and line. So I guess that's the only reason I really favor the swath safe zone is just so that we know that that part is a kind of Opala free. And I realize that is a sacrifice for the fishermen.
Okay.
And one last thing is that I realized the fishermen didn't realize in the pandemic how many people do other things at the park because we weren't there, most of us. Thank you, Senator Moriarty and David.
Thank you. Okay, so if you would send us your survey, that would be appended as well.
Okay.
And some information on that. That would be helpful.
Great, thank you.
So that we, Michelle, next, Michelle. Can you unmute Michelle? Michelle? We're gonna move on if Michelle.
Is that with two L's or one L?
Okay, that's you, Michelle.
Two L's?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's you.
Okay. I just want to say, I go down to the beach 5 days a week at least. And I usually take my kickboard or I'm a bobber. And it's been pretty safe, even though there are fishermen there. They're usually at that corner near Magic Island. And there's usually few of them on a normal basis, but summertime it was abnormal. And many fishermen were very polite, some weren't. Many swimmers were polite, some weren't, but that was an unusual situation. So I do favor option 3. I would prefer that actually there would be no option, that everybody would get along and work together and be respectful of others. That's my first. And I guess what I am against is for the casting lines, because that's what gave problems. People were getting hooked. And even myself, I didn't get hooked, but I'm not cognizant of a fishing line because it's so thin going into the water. And I've been caught on it, but I haven't ever been hooked. So yeah, basically, I'm just for everyone enjoying the beach, because the ocean to me is a place of healing. It's a beautiful place, and it is a place that provides food and nourishment for others. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Michelle. Next. May Suilan.
Oh.
Are you there? May Suilan?
Unmute.
Unmute, yeah, unmute. We have May?
Bottom left, Suilan. Bottom left.
Unmute with the microphone.
Okay. Aloha. I am responding because I noticed that the DAR admitted that they aren't paying too much attention to swimmers, and I'm going to speak from a swimmer's point of view. So I am Suilan Ellsworth on the board of the Waikiki Swim Club, and I am a vice president of race operations and race director. I am concerned about casting hooks. We have no defenses against hooks. We can't see the transparent nylon lines, and our faces are underwater half the time. And due to water quality, we have no way of looking way far ahead of us, and we can't see hooks coming at us. But as a race director for our ocean races, we have 4 at Ala Moana. I'm concerned about the safety of our racers. We have between 150 and 300 participants per race. We have Kamehameha School students who use our races to qualify for graduation. We have Special Olympians, but mostly we have citizens who swim for joy and personal goals. I want them to feel safe because Ala Moana is a safe place. As part of the permit process, we have to get a $2 million liability insurance policy and indemnify the city and county of Honolulu and the state of Hawaii. When the fishermen are casting out, will they guarantee that no one will get hurt? Will he have insurance so that he can pay for some of the damages if he's sued? We swimmers already have proven that we are willing to share our playground because we gave in to the stand-up paddlers. And we've seen fishermen all these years, 40 years, but we've never had fishermen hurling casting equipment against swimmers. We saw that at Kaimana and we saw that at Ala Moana. We've never experienced fearing injury if we look for a place to come out of the water. Ala Moana has always been that safe place for us to swim. I prefer option 3, but cast fishing should be in its own restricted area and not mixed with other water activities because it is so dangerous to all the other stakeholders. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Stephen?
Yes. Hi.
Hi.
I'll make it quick. This is a great community of people. I heard some great ideas. I didn't really hear a bad idea. Just to reiterate a lot of things, you know, the pragmatic solution is to leave it as is. Fishing is a rare occurrence there. You know, basically people swim there every day. Any one of us could log in multiple times of the day, how often people are using the water in various levels and compared to how often fishing is. The public safety concern I have is the casting. Simply put, you have to limit the amount of debris tossed into the water, which you really typically will not get with handheld fishing. So it seems that, you know, it's very difficult. Last time I was on this call, there were a lot of fishermen, and I haven't really heard anybody say, hey, you know, this is how we feed our family or teach our keiki how to fish. It's a great venue for fishing. I vote for not restricting anything or not applying any graph or grid to limit people from accessing the water. But I would say that you do have to keep in mind that fishing's a rare thing there and everyone else is using the water on a regular basis much more often. And if casting could be banned, I think that would be a step in the right direction. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. Thank you, Stephen. Alan? Alan?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, Alan.
Yeah, I represent, and I'm associated with Waikiki Swim Club, and I'd like to specifically address some of the options that are being proposed. Option 1 seems to be written more towards the favor of the fishermen. Option 3 seems to be written more towards the favor of the swimmers. And option 2 seems to be kind of a vague and unclear compromise between the two. It appears that option 2, while allowing for the use of the ADA access walkway, what happens after that, once you get into the water, is unclear, that you would still be into fishing waters. I'd like to speak to option number 3, which from the position of the Waikiki Swim Club is still a takeaway of the traditional Ala Moana swimming channel length that Gary spoke about earlier. It would bring the fishing activity within unsafe range of those with least protection, those who use the ADA access path into the water. The high technology spin casting fishing gear allows heavy lead weights and hooks to be used in rigs capable of injuring swimmers in the water. The potential of accidental casting into the water populated with vulnerable ocean users who are using the ADA pathway is very great. For this reason, the proposed fishing zone on the Diamond Head end of the channel should be moved towards the more traditional fishing area closer to Magic Island, at least past Lifeguard Tower 1E, which is the last one on the end there. And you know, following this, I think a second ADA approved walkway should be installed for the fishers who need this type of facility. The establishment of fishing zones at Ala Moana Beach as proposed does not promote safe and fun swimming, which is the mission of the Waikiki Swim Club. And that's about all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Oh,
Yeah, me.
Dan Wong.
Alan?
Dan Wong.
Sam Wong?
Dan Wong.
Oh, Dan Wong. Dan?
Hey, this is Dan Wong. Aloha, everybody. I'm sorry about the bad lighting. I just want to, I'm a fisher, I'm a swimmer, and grew up, born and raised here in Hawaii, and I just think everybody needs to get along. I think the status quo is good enough. This is a one-off. We're under a pandemic. How many pandemics have we seen in the last 100 years? I don't think we need any new regulations. If we're going to propose new regulations, then you're going to require 24-hour enforcement, because without enforcement, good rules mean nothing. And I also think that the headwaters of the problem is that there's too many people, or we're getting more and more people here on Oahu, and we're all fighting for resources for our own selfish reasons. And, you know, the swimmers want it for swimming, the paddleboarders want it for paddleboarding, the fishermen want it for everything for fishing. And that stuff, you're only building more high rises in that area, and you're only going to have more people fighting over resources. And it's just going to cause, as you're seeing it now, everybody's fighting for resources. We already have even designated surf spots that are only for body surfing. Some are only for board surfing. I don't think we need to regulate the ocean as much as we're proposing right now. Leave it as is. As far as the Waikiki Swim Club is concerned, I think that Waikiki Beach in Waikiki, hence Waikiki Swim Club, that area meets most of their needs. If you have competitions 5 times a year, just like surf contests, hey, block it off. No boating, no fishing at that area, you know, just like you do for the Aloha Run and the marathon, block it off for those occasions to ensure the safety of the participants. But for the rest of the year, especially if we're only talking about 2 months of the year during the fishing season, hey, just live aloha, right? If you find an alternate beach for the 2 months, or even the few weeks that the fish are coming in. Otherwise, you know, we're not only talking about the halalua, the fish casters, and what if there's different kinds of fish, right? I don't think that anybody should regulate what kind of fish the fishermen are going for, because that's also an awama breeding ground during the summer. Thank you very much for listening. Mahalo.
Thank you.
Deborah, we'll get to you, Chris, because we have people in line. We have you in line. So Deborah next. Deborah?
I'm actually gonna defer because it looks like Marcus has had his hand up for a while and he hasn't had a chance to
You're
speak
on.
yet.
You're on now. You're on.
I understand, but I'm gonna defer my time to Marcus because he hasn't had the chance to speak yet, and I have.
He's gonna be after you. So if you don't have anything to say, we will go to Marcus.
I
don't mind. I don't mind waiting.
Marcus. Where's Marcus?
All right, I'll just go if that's okay. Is that all right?
Go ahead. Go.
I'm a swimming coach at the University of Hawaii. I've been here for 4 years, so I do have to admit that I'm kind of a newcomer here. I think the Ala Moana Beach Park is a very unique place to swim because it is protected and it is like a safe place. I work with very experienced, very accomplished swimmers, but they only swim in the pool. And so Ala Moana really is like the one place where those people are comfortable swimming in the ocean. A lot of them, even if they're good in the pool, they're not really comfortable in the ocean. And Ala Moana is that exception. And I think we see that just kind of with the multiple users at Ala Moana. And I think the one thing that we kind of all experienced, I think, was kind of the threat of being hooked. You know, I think that's kind of the biggest thing is figuring out a way to kind of prevent that. And whether that's, I think signs would probably be a good thing, like watch out for fishermen, swimmers watch out for fishermen, fishermen watch out for swimmers. I think that would accomplish kind of a majority of these issues. I don't like the idea of having too many restrictions, but I think, again, signs, making people knowledgeable and aware that there are other groups here. And again, I think the number one thing is access and not getting hooked or not stepping on a hook when you're getting in and out. And I think signs would help a big part of that. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now Chris. No. Oh, wait.
Hey, can you hear me?
Marcus just went. So then.
Hi, it's Chris.
Chris?
Can you hear me?
I'm here.
Oh.
Hey, thanks everybody, Senator Moriwaki and David and all you folks doing this. My name is Chris Gardner. I'm race director for the North Shore Swim Series. I grew up by pipeline, but I now live in Makiki for financial reasons. Anyways, I swim and run almost every day at Ala Moana, right around Tower 1 Delta, which is a few hundred yards of Ala Moana. I've been in Hawaii since I was 12. My biggest concern with all the plans, and it's been addressed here, but I want to reiterate it, is kapuna. Also the non-swimmers, the folks who have physical limitations, and the walkers or bobbers, as Michelle and I call them, that use the nearshore waters for exercise. Now, many of these folks aren't attending this meeting. They don't have smartphones. They don't have idea how to go on Zoom. I'm timing myself, Senator, by the way. Some of these folks speak English as a second language. They are citizens of Hawaii. They have every right to be at this meeting, but they don't even know this is going on. If you asked them what DAR was and said it's Division of Aquatic Resources, it's like you're speaking Czechoslovakian or something. So my concern is that these people's voices are not being heard about all these proposals. And I'm, this year, one of my Hanai aunties, Lay, was accosted verbally because she spoke up to a fisherman who had hooked her. She's been hooked a couple times. The police the HPD had to come. It was unbelievable. The guy was showing absolutely no malama to a kapuna. So in what we see so far, we like number 3 or resolution or draft 3 or map 3, whatever you call it, sorry. But the whole thing is we gotta oponopono this thing. We've got to come together. I'm against restrictions. I hate banning things. I hate, this whole cancel culture. So we got to work this out. Right now, it seems to be fishing hooks or swim goggles. What do we choose? But we got to keep our kapuna safe. That's all I have. And thank you very much for allowing us this venue.
Thank you, Chris. Christopher Takahashi next.
Yes, I'm right here. Can you hear me?
Excuse me, are we going by the hands that are raised in the chat box or are we going by hands raised on the screen?
Both.
Both. But the chat box is clear. My hand's been up a long time.
But you spoke already, Bruce.
No, but we're talking about rules.
We're trying to get everybody to have a chance to speak, and you spoke already. So everybody has 2 minutes, and we're moving along. If no one else is there, then you can speak again, but we have people in line. So next is Christopher Takahashi.
Yes, I'm also known as, can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, I'm also known as Scuba Chris. I'm one of the pro staffers here for Makuma Testing Fishing Gear. Just like to say something very fast because I've been using this area for a long time to do my product reviews. And I've been doing this for a while, so I know what to do not to create any problems. I actually help other people along. At nighttime, I suggest using 2 rods, for up to 2 rods per person, because you have nobody in the water to worry about. But during the daytime, even for myself, I use only 1 rod. And the reason why I do that is because I see swimmers that their heads are in the water. They don't know where they're swimming to because their heads are in the water. And then the stand-up surfers, they're coming in a little bit faster. So if I have 2 lines out, I run the risk of somebody hitting that line and getting tangled. But if I watch only 1 line, that's why in the last 20 years, I've never had a tangle, never had any problems with anybody there, because during the daytime, I only keep 1 line out. And at night, I keep 2. And also at night, just recently, a couple months ago, I wrote your association, the Ala Moana Association, on the 10 o'clock to the 4 o'clock closure time. And I was told that I couldn't fish there. But according to the people that work there, they said I can, but I cannot park there. They said I can have people drop me off there. But what I'm suggesting is if you open the park up during the time, because before when I was a kid, that park was open between 10 and 4. Now, if you keep the park open during that time, more people would go in at night, which would take almost all the pressure off during the daytime. Trust me on that one, because fish come in at night. They rarely come in during the day. And the only problem I have coming in at 10 to 4 is that someone from the association said that you might get towed away. But I talked to a lot of the older people that are there when I come in at 4. They're just leaving. And they're feeding the cats, the feral cats around the area. And they told me in all the years that we do that, you never see one person towed away or any police officers telling anybody they can't be there at that time. So I'm not sure what's up with that. But if you allow fishing during the nighttime, up to 2 lines per person, and you just all night, it's going to take away so much pressure during the daytime. It's going to be unbelievable. You will see a lot of people taken away because I've been doing this all my life.
Okay, thank you. I just one question. Are you talking about hook line?
But casting lines, meaning, you know, a rod and a
Casting.
reel, and you're casting a weighted line. That's
During the
why I
night.
said, yeah, a weighted line with a piece of lead on it. That's why during the daytime, there might be some problems because some people might have 2 or 3 lines out. Somebody is swimming through. It is next to impossible if that person by themselves to reel every line in. But if that person only has 1 rig, meaning 1 line out there, it is so easy because I see people coming from maybe 100 yards away and I see their head in the water and I know they're not going to see what my rig is. I take it in. I do this all out of courtesy. That's why in all the years I go there, never had any problems. And if everybody did what I did, I don't think nobody's going to have any problems.
Wow.
Thank you.
Tara.
Kara.
Tara.
Tara. T-A-R-A. Tara. Can you
hear me? Excellent.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so just quickly, my name's Tara, and I was asked to share my experience of being an Ala Moana user by Waikiki Swim Club. So I've been here in Hawaii for about 1.5 years now. So I recognize that I'm relatively new. When I first came to Hawaii, I swam with UH, and that was great. However, when COVID hit, all the UH practices were stopped. And I think they've been that way ever since. So for months, myself and another friend from UH swam pretty much daily at Ala Moana. But then my friend was posted to Europe, so I continued to swim at Ala Moana. But the only reason I was able to do this was because Ala Moana is so well set up for solo users. And if I hadn't have had that, I just wouldn't have been able to swim because all the pools were closed. So I now swim with a couple of groups from Waikiki Swim Club, and we swim in the ocean. But if I didn't have a group to swim with, I wouldn't be able to swim in the ocean because it's too dangerous. So yeah, I just want to reinforce what what a couple of people have said. The reason why Ala Moana is so important, and that I don't think it's as simple as just finding another beach to swim at, because there are so many other hazards in the ocean. So yeah, I don't have any input on which proposal is better. I just wanted to share my perspective. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Are there any other?
Kathleen.
Oh, Kathleen. Kathleen. Kathleen Quinn. Kathleen Quinn. You still there?
Unmute Kathleen, bottom left.
Kathleen, are you still there?
Can you hear me now?
Unmute. Yes.
Okay,
We hear you.
great,
Okay.
great. Anyway, I am a 77-year-old swimmer and sort of new to the video things that we're doing right now. So I know there are other friends of mine that are having difficulty too. But can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Thanks. I tend to not like the restrictions and telling people exactly that you can't swim here and you can't fish there. I'm sort of kind of like the idea of sharing, but I don't like the idea of casting. I am somewhat well, disabled, I guess you'd say, somewhat disabled. So I do need help in and out of the water. And it's easier for me if I can walk in the sand. And so I definitely would want the Waikiki end, Diamond Head end of the park to be free for people that need to get in and out of the water. But I do like the idea of just letting people know, not putting the long lines in, using one fishing pole at a time when there's swimmers. So that's all. I'm really, if I had to pick one of the 3 options, I would pick option number 3, but I would prefer no set rules. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathleen. Manuel. Unmute yourself, Manuel.
Hello, Senator. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
I grew up on the island of Maui. And when we were denied access to Puniava Bay, we had to fight to gain access. When someone kicked me off the beach and Auntie Joyce Kainoa's son at Palauea Beach, we came with our families. Because beach access is a big deal for us. And now I live on Oahu. I live on at Rural Kunia. So Senator Moriwaki, this is an unprecedented Zoom event. I heard about this because I'm a subscriber to Hawaii Civil Bee, and I was waiting for the time for somebody to invite me to this thing. And Uncle Bob, I called a DAR person on Maui, Uncle Russell, when's this meeting? He never know. So Mr. Masuda, to have you online with your staff, David and Brian, Senator Moriwaki, is an unprecedented event. But when I read what I read in the newspaper, I was very concerned. You know how we grew up, Senator, and I hope you don't cut me off, is any kupuna goes into the water, whether I'm a fisherman or a swimmer, I have a kayak or a boat, we give them free rein. We stop what we're doing and we give them that deference, that respect. Somebody fishing and I want to go scuba diving, they come McKenna Landing. Hey, we allow the kids to do whatever they want for free. No child, any child should have to be, I call it molested with some fishing line, even the Owama line. You give way to the kids, okay? But there should be no restrictions. One of the things I hear is maybe we should add a handicap accessible area someplace toward the west. I think we asked Mr. Mike Formby, our new mayor, we can make it happen, and we should, Uncle Bob. You know,
I hear you. I'm listening, Manny.
Every day after work, Uncle Bob, I drive past Ala Moana Beach Park. You know why? Because I need that. I know what every swimmer is talking about, that connection to the ocean. Yeah, I lived with John Kelly at 4117 Black Point Road, Kupiki Pikio. Miss Shar Chumlan, thank you for your presentation. Thank you, Miss Moriwaki. We should be honored that people took the time. Dr. Mignalia, I think I know you. You know my wife. But we should have hands off. Everybody here. Miss Grabowski, I know you at UH. Uncle Bill Gooding, you know. These are all the heavy hitters in our community. But fishing is a big deal. When the fish came back, Senator, that is a sign for all of us. That's the big deal, that the fish came back. Even though they went dredge this place, it's not the normal shoreline. We should hands off, allow that fish to come back. And you know what, Uncle Bob? Part of me pray that maybe the night will come inside. Maybe the turtle come inside. Because you know what? All the local families that are not watching this on the Zoom, they would be laughing to see, because in every other community outside of Hawaii, no more this kind of stuff. Should never be happening. It's all deference for our kupuna first and our children. Hands off, make way. And you know why? Ms. Moriwaki, coming to an end, you know the idea of fishing, you know, during this COVID, you know what's the biggest thing I ever heard? And it's not a political statement. When Mayor Caldwell said, we will allow access for Native Hawaiian rights to the ocean to go fishing and gathering. Nobody ever said that. It's a big deal, because those of you that fish, your children, my children, will come to all the phases of the moon, the ocean, the location, the limo, unprecedented. To all the fishers and the Waikiki Swim Club, do not deny that to any child of Hawaii. It's very important. And Tara, you're a swimmer at UH. Sometimes you gotta go swim in the rough water, okay? You come Kaho'olaume with me, okay? Swimming in the pool and then swimming in the big blue ocean is another.
Thank you, Manny. Manny, thank you.
Manny, you hit the time.
Okay.
Over time. But I do want to say, Manny, that, you know, you feel like that because you live aloha. Your dad live aloha. Your grandpa live aloha. And you share that with the whole community. And, you know, that's what would be great. And you talk about, some of these people talk about how long they've been going to Ala Moana. You know, I was born and raised in Kakako when it was a Hawaiian neighborhood and with some Japanese fishermen. And so I've been at Ala Moana Park, pole fishing with my dad and swimming up and down. We used to camp out on the sandbar for the last 80 years. So, and I also was parks director and now with the state. So we're concerned. And I can tell you before even we finish that all of this stuff coming in is a lot of good stuff, a lot of concern, a lot of good mana'o has been shared. And we will take this seriously. I want you to know that Captain Chief Titchen from the lifeguard service is, I see him on these several pages, like over 150 people, I think. And so the parks people are here, the water safety people are here, our DART people are here. I'm going to drag in our Doughboy people because they have ocean recreation. And we'll make this work and we'll look at best ways to look at it. And maybe, you know, we might put a line around when fish season and they all come in. The people in Haena, they called us and they said, hey, maybe you shouldn't fix the highway because when the highway went broke and nobody went into the bay, all the fish came back. So, you know, you get everything going in these last 2 years of storms, pandemics, and everything else. On top of that, we get a $1.4 billion deficit in the state that we're trying to work on. So, you know, instead of working on that right now, I'm listening to you guys. That's how important this is.
Thank you, Robert.
Yeah.
One more person. We went over time. I want to respect everybody's time. I really appreciate everybody being.
Okay, but I had to do the editorial for Manny. Thanks.
I appreciate that. For Manny, thank you. We have one more person who hasn't spoken. Dean Sensui, the last person we will hear from. If others of you have comments, you can send it in to us and we'll append it. And this will all be taken into consideration for the next round. But Dean.
All right, thanks. Yeah, like Bob was mentioning, you know, ever since the Ala Moana Beach Park channel had been dredged back in the early 1950s, people have been fishing there. I remember as a little kid, my parents taking us there, them telling stories about fishing there before I was born. And, you know, so fishermen need to be given due consideration, especially in a time like this when some people are now unemployed and that's how they feed their families. It's part of what they do. That said, I think almost everyone recognizes that this is a shared resource. It's something that's used by not just fishermen, not just swimmers, but you've got people who are waiting, little kids, you know, go there. Sometimes that's their first outing to a beach ever. So all of these users have to be taken into consideration. So I don't think that we should be doing anything like an FMA. We should not be literally drawing lines in the sand. Instead, we should be finding ways to develop better communication, better cooperation among all the users so that everyone can benefit. Fishing like this is a seasonal thing. It comes and it will go. You know, like I mentioned in the chat section that swimmers yield when box jellyfish come in a few times for a few days out of the month. Something similar can be conceived of when fishermen are using that area a few months out of the year. Maybe not even that, depending if the fish come in. This being an unusual year where we don't have the tourists around, fish showing up in front of the Sheraton Waikiki and in Kaimana Beach Hotel, spinner dolphins not being harassed, they're coming into the bays. You know, we're seeing a lot of changes. And so we need to be looking at all of that and understand that, yes, it is a shared resource. No, we don't want to see any closures. Status quo would work if everyone we're mindful of each other. So that's the main point I wanted to make. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I want you to know Dean Sensui has done a lot of work on behalf of fishing in the state of Hawaii.
Thank you. We have one.
Senator, I have a housekeeping question for Bob Masuda.
Wait.
Sure.
Wait. Could we have one more person speak? Because
okay.
Buddy first. 9733, a number. Is a person still on? 973. 9733125. If you unmute.
Yeah, I think that's me right now.
Okay, that's you. Okay. Who is that?
Okay, right on. Clayton Kubo.
Oh, Clayton. My God. Okay.
How's it going, Bob? How are you doing?
Good.
Clayton.
Okay, you get 2 minutes, bro. Go for it.
All right. Yep. You're the last.
Okay, I came in kind of late to the meeting because I was, debating whether if I'm going to listen or whether if I'm going to say something, but I guess I just need, what is that?
You have the floor. You can say something.
Oh,
please.
okay.
Yeah.
So, what I don't understand is how can swimming set precedence over fishing? During this pandemic, what is that? The speaker before me said that, a lot of people had lose their jobs, and 5 speakers before me had said the same thing. It's like, I just kind of looking to understand that how can, a exercise take charge of somebody trying to get food for their family or their second family, third family, kupuna. I just cannot see this. And then I want to pose a question to Dar. Okay. What I don't understand is how can DAR be in charge of this, whereas DAR is Division of Aquatic Resources, not swimming. Yeah, that's the number one question that I get. And also, hopefully not gonna get any restrictions, but if you guys do set restrictions and the fish piles does not come in for the next maybe 3-4 years or maybe even 5, how can these rules kind of disappear? Or is it going to be stuck in the book, and is it going to be just another rule that will never be enforced? Okay, so that's my questions to DAR.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, aloha.
Oh, okay, aloha.
Thanks,
Matt,
Clayton.
one more person, Matt, and then we're closing this off.
Well, I have a housekeeping question for Bob Masuda.
Wait, I want to get everybody who wants to speak on this before we get
Okay.
you. Okay.
Just real quick, my choice would be status quo, because this is an unusual event. And if it's decided that some sort of fishing restrictions will go to place, make sure that all the data is collected. What happens here can have impacts beyond Ala Moana Beach Park. And if it is justified, make sure that it's justified for this park and not for the rest of the state, because user conflicts happen throughout the state. And my last suggestion is, if casting is going to be restricted, make it a true state and county collaboration and have the county open up permitted parking, so that select fishers or fishers who will go through the permitting process can fish at nighttime and be close to their vehicle. If they're giving
Good idea, Matt.
Okay, thank you, Matt. That's good.
We'll think about all that. So who wants to give me a question?
So now, Bruce, you wanted a question to
At our last Zoom meeting, Mr. Masuda, I asked about whether the recording of that Zoom meeting and whether the documentation of the Zoom meeting would be available and accessible online or any other way.
Yes.
So the recording is not available yet that I can see. There's no link. David is really busy. I hope
we do have it, Bruce. I can answer that. We do have it, so we
can send the link to all of us as to where it is. I
Yep.
searched and hunted and asked Dar, and I couldn't find it.
Bruce, the easiest thing is call Sharon.
Yeah, we'll do it. If you want it, we can put it online.
Don't call us, we're bureaucrats. Sharon is a leader.
Okay. And
No, but we did record it, and this is also YouTube.
No, we're recording and documenting.
We're going to post it as well. This is being recorded, Bruce. So
well,
we have,
if you say it's available right now, would you send the link to Shar and
yeah,
I?
we will now that we have, we can put it on.
So the last thing, you know, if creating a zone would make the fish behave and come to that zone, every fisherman in this island would want you to come to their place of fishing and zone it fishing so that all the fishing would be there, all the fish will come there. So I'm against zoning specifically for something like a fish, because the fish doesn't know that. And also casting. You know, what's his name, our doctor that's on this panel? I would challenge him to ask all of the emergency rooms during that period of time, July and August, for all the emergency records of people who had to have hooks removed from them. Because removing a hook is not trivial. I've had to do it twice through surgery, and that was self-inflicted, I'm glad to say, versus someone else did it to me. And it's not trivial. You have to have it cut out surgically. So all of these things about people getting hooked, I verified that most of them were superficial to their clothes or to their skin, and I'm still concerned about that. But they're making it sound like people actually had hooks buried in their skin, and they have to have it removed somehow. So
thank you, Bruce.
Correct the data on that.
Yeah, Bruce, we are trying to find a way in which we can gather all the documentation, complete or incomplete.
Yeah,
okay.
Part of it is making sure that everybody, you heard from the swimmers, you heard from the disabled, you heard from everyone. How do we make this a safe park for everyone? So if it's casting in the night or other hours, or if it's casting in a certain area and hand pole in certain areas where there's swimmers, those are the kinds of options now that we have before us, because we've heard, I think, the whole gamut of concerns from fishers to the bobbers. And we hope that we can have a different iteration, whether it's the yield signs or whatever. It still needs to have some way of demarcating what is safe zones for people, so everybody can enjoy the area. So I want to thank everybody for all your comments, all the interest, all the ideas. And David has a big job ahead for the next revision of what we want to go forward. And it may be something that I hope most of you can live with. So hopefully that's the
We
next
will have future sessions in which we will have synthesized all the ideas tonight and see how we can massage those into coming out with continually sensible things, reasonable things. If you want to.
And I just want to say one thing though. If you have not been on our email distribution list and you're new to this, coming to Zoom from wherever, please in the chat put your email address, and we'll definitely, as Deputy Director Masuda says, we will have another meeting, and we would like you to attend that meeting. And if anybody else you know who has interest, just give us your email and we will definitely let you know. So I think we've gone over by half an hour, and I like to keep it to what we promise people so that we respect people's time. But I really appreciate everybody and all the comments. This is wonderful. It is truly a people's park that we really love and do something about. Bobby, you want?
Yeah, I wanted to thank the alums because they don't only take care of in the water park.
Yeah.
They take care of the park,
Yes,
you know, the grounds. They pick up rubbish. They keep the place going nicely. We have over 100 botanical species in the park. You know, it's a great park.
It is. It's our
It
park.
used to be, before the 1920s, Ala Moana Park was a city rubbish dump. It was a rubbish dump. Just like Kaka'ako Park then became the rubbish dump. And now it's a Kaka'ako Park. Only the rubbish there is still fresh enough that we have to put pipes in the ground to let the methane escape. Ala Moana is safe. And by the way, Dean, the channel was dredged way before 1950s. The boats used to have to come in from Kewalo Basin and, you know, the glass bottom boat, and then go through the channel, all the way through the channel to Alawai Canal, because we didn't have the Magic Island channel going out by Alawai Boat Harbor. And then it would go in and park right behind where the Hawaii Convention Center is now. And people would load up there and it would go out the glass bottom boat when we're kids. And then Magic Island got dredged and all the coral from the channel going out directly from Alawai Canal out to the ocean, that channel by Magic Island. When Ala Moana Center, when you go to the bottom parking level and it says coral level, they mean coral level. All the coral got dredged from that channel and was taken across the street and piled up for over 10 years, 5 stories high on the swamp that used to be where Ala Moana Shopping Center is. And they supercharged the soft stuff down for over 10 years. When I was growing up, I had ducks flying over the swamp. It was a marshland. So anyway, that's a little history.
History lesson. Thank you.
Extra. Sharon too young. She don't remember that. Bye.
Okay, thank you, everyone. I really
Bye, everybody. Take care.
Thank you, Uncle Bob.
Thank you,
Okay.
David.
See you guys. Thank
Bye.
David. He's the one doing all the work.
Thank you, David. Aloha.
Yeah.
And good
Hey,
night.
Manny, Dean, all you guys. Good to see you guys. Thanks for joining in.
Thank you. Thanks. Thank you.
Uncle Bob.
Yep.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank
And
you.
also, where's Waters? He jumped off already.
Tommy's off. Adrian is still there.
Yeah, Tommy, good to see him here.
Tommy, our council member, and Adrian.
And he's a good water guy too. You know, all of us were all collegiate swimmers and all of that kind of stuff. But now we look like whales.
Okay. Good night, everybody. Aloha. Thank you.
Aloha, everyone.
Okay. Bye-bye. Thanks.